So guys, you're all holding in your hands this beautiful, beautiful piece of technology, which is from Samsung, of course, the Galaxy Z Flip 5G. Initial thoughts when it arrived and you started playing around with it, and how do you see it actually enhancing your lives? Val?
First of all, is V, stands for Val. Okay, secondly, it actually helps me to work on the go because I can actually speak on Zoom call as well as looking at my Google Doc. So it's extremely helpful when we have to work like in the car or on the go. So I would recommend anyone who have a busy lifestyle to actually explore looking at this phone.
Val is the ultimate multitasker. Dione?
It's small, right? It's portable. I love it how it just stands on its own. Right? It's beautiful. I can do my calls without a phone stand. So very perfect, right, for all the video conference.
Yeah, you just put all the phone stand developers out of business. So that's
and
it.
I just bought two, but now I don't need them
Now
anymore.
you don't need them anymore. Roshni?
I just love the phone. I mean, it's so sexy and it's sleek, it's slim, it folds, it fits in so well with my lifestyle as well. And at the end of the day, it makes me a very cool mom. So, my daughter loves this phone more than I love it. So I've won brownie points with her because I have this phone.
Oh, fantastic. So you're a cool mom and you're finding it really easy to use as well.
Absolutely.
Plus it's such a beautiful slim piece. It just sits in the bag real nice as well, I think. Yeah. Jaelle?
I'm the kind of person that wants it all. So I love it for its high performance. And it's really beautiful and good looking. I like all good looking things. Beauty is a big thing in my life. And it takes great photographs. So I love taking photos, and it has a really good lens, which I love. So it can do everything I needed to do all at once.
I can hear the architect's heart in all of this. I mean, personally for me, just, being able to sit here with all of you, having my notes, the screen size is really massive, and the way I can scroll, and it's just very simple and easy. But I'm a person who's quite easy to please, and I just love that it folds.
And I'm difficult to please, and I love it.
Guys, I want to talk about the journey of leadership, because it is a journey, whether we're talking about our lives or we're talking about our work. And we all know that female business leaders are on the rise in today's workplace. I would like to be able to never have to say that, but it's true. And I think what we're looking at is about 1/3 of senior leadership roles in companies in Singapore are, fronted by women. I would like to see that number rise greatly. So what I want to ask you is, what does it mean to be a leader as a woman? Roshni?
That's a great question. I really think it's just about being your authentic self all the time. So there shouldn't be a work Roshni and a home Roshni. It's the same Roshni, whether she's at home or at work. And I think it's about really letting people know that you're there to help them, assist them, but you're also, as a leader, you need to be very comfortable with delegating and trusting the people that you have around you. So I think it's about authentic leadership and trust.
Jaelle, what does it mean to be a leader as a woman?
So it's interesting that general society has this very, strong archetype of a strong, aggressive, swaggering masculinity type of figure as a leader. But I also think it's changing. People are understanding that, the environment is changing. We're dealing with bigger challenges. A leader can also come in a different archetype. It can be a thoughtful, it could be a risk averse, it could be a collaborative one that, picks up different voices from not just one narrow group of people.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
true
that gives us
agility.
a lot of opportunities.
That's true agility, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Dione?
Yeah, I don't think there is a cookie cutter, right? I think approach to really being a leader, and I think during this year especially, I think what we've seen also is just being more relatable, right? I think being more empathetic, being more transparent, right? I think more compassionate. I think we've seen it in politics, right? Jacinda Ardern, for example, amazing job, right? I think with how New Zealand handled everything, and you see that a leader who is comfortable being vulnerable, right, and open. We're sharing with the people, and I think politics 100 times more complex than running a business. But I think that's what people really feel too, right, and really respect.
Absolutely. A different kind of fearlessness, a different kind of vulnerability.
Yeah, and you don't need to know all the answers.
Absolutely. That was my biggest learning over the last 9 months is I don't actually have all the answers, and that's
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to say I don't know or don't know it for now, or can somebody help me? And it's become much easier to say that.
Yeah. Dao, what about you?
I agree with Dione. So when I first started, I actually read a lot of leadership books, and many of them are written by male leaders. So I thought like leaders have a certain like persona that you need to put up. But over the years, I actually learned that you just need to be yourself, like what Roshni said. Just need to be yourself, and then be a lot more open. So now I actually share a lot with my team about how I feel, how the company is going. And instead of being a leader out there, you're actually working together with the team and share your feelings as well. I think that's really unique for us as women because we are a lot more open to share our feelings, and we are all humans, so we connect through that.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable how when you actually go through that and you break that boundary, that suddenly everyone else feels like the permission to feel.
Yeah.
There's a flip side to all of this, of course. You know, Jaelle, you trained as an architect before you started the Great Room, and now you sit as the youngest and on one board, and then the only female on 2 boards of publicly listed real estate companies. And real estate is traditionally a very, very male-dominated area. And you know, you're a female leader also thriving in that particular industry. What were some of the challenges that you've actually faced along the way?
I think when I took on the first board directorship, I was quite a young business person as well. So there was already a lot of discomfort and self-doubt about my own voice, whether that be a female voice or not a female voice, just that. And in a room full of guys who are much older, much more confident and much more aggressive, and when they all agree on something, I ask the questions in my mind like 30 times before I kind of meekly say like, you know, I'm not sure if that's what I think as well. It took really 2 years for me to really be bold and offer a different thinking. So I think, but it's that voice that avoid that blind spots and the group think. It's the very reason that why we would want more women on boards. Not just women, just people from diverse backgrounds and different expertise. If you want them there, you avoid that group think, but then you would also have to give them their voice. Absolutely. So I think that's been the challenge, but that's also the reason why we would want more female on boards. It's not because we want to hit a certain quota, it's because it's better for business. It's just a business case to have much more diversity on boards.
Absolutely agree with you, 100%. Roshni, you had particularly interesting experiences when you were fundraising initially, looking for the capital for Asian Parent. What was your experience, and was it different just because you were a woman?
Yeah, no, so great question. I think in the early days, it was extremely difficult. You know, I would walk into a meeting and they would say, we've got a couple of questions to ask you. Are you married? And then I'd be like, why does that matter? And then they'll
why
be like,
does that matter?
They're like, yeah, wait, no, what's going to happen when you have a baby and a child? Are you going to stop working? And
hey, I'm raising capital for Asian parents.
Exactly.
Hello.
So that was exactly my response. I was like, dude, if I get pregnant, we're all gonna celebrate because that legitimizes my business. Okay, so let's hope I get pregnant. But I don't see how this is even, you know, a matter of conversation. Like, do you go around asking this to guys? Yeah. And you know, I'm married to a fellow entrepreneur as well. So sometimes, especially now during COVID breakup period, I'm able to sit in and listen to some of his conversations. And when he's having board discussions, so when he's speaking to new investors, the kind of questions they ask him and the kind of questions they ask me are so different. Like, you know, they'll definitely, and it's not just because I run the Asian Parents, so okay, fine, let's talk about the children, but they would really ask me a lot of questions of like, oh, how are you handling it? You know, do you, you know, are you feeling lonely? You know, does it feel, do you feel like you need to go out and meet your team? How's your team reacting to not seeing you in person? But they wouldn't be asking my husband these kinds of questions.
Yeah. I think it's almost like we need to flip. You know, we need to ask more men those questions. And honestly, I think there are many men who would like to answer those questions as well, to be fair. And there are many women who are quite tired of being asked only about their feelings and would like to
how you're handling everything.
Exactly. So ask me about my direction, about my, you know, the way I actually see my business running. What are my strategies? Because I have them. They might be a bit different to yours, but I have them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So fundraising was fun.
It was a very unique experience. But I think as company gets bigger, it gets a little bit easier because then you have your proven track record to validate your own business. But I think in the early days, it's really difficult. But what's really interesting is last year, we had 19 women who had companies that became unicorns, which is, fabulous, right? Unicorns are companies that have over $1 billion in valuation. And that's but the flip side is that it's 4% of all unicorns were women-helmed unicorns. But still, that number is greater than the number of women who get VC capital investment. That's under 3%. Wow. So the fact that 4% of women could build $1 billion business, even though only 3% of women get capital, it just goes to prove that investing in women is great business choice.
Boom.
Great ROI.
Great ROI, exactly.
Yes,
So-
it's a business case, and it's not a case for diversity. It's a business
It's a
case.
business case.
Yeah.
So we talked about breaking through our own barriers. We talked about breaking through others' barriers. Dione, Love Bonita is a fashion label created for women by women. What are some of the ways that you actually empower women outward, but also I'm so interested in how the team is empowered.
Yeah, so the mission really for Love Bonita, right, to really be the most thoughtful brand for women, and we really believe, right, that we want to encourage women to be the best versions of themselves, right, not there to preach to women, hey, this is how you should behave, right, this is how you should dress, and same thing, right, I think for internal teams, it's always about being the best versions of yourselves, right, so we're a very, very strengths-based type organization, so one of the things we really love and believe in would be Clifton Gallup's sort of strength finder, right? It's not about, hey, these are your weaknesses, right? It's about, hey, what are your strengths? What are your talent themes? How can you actually build up on them, right? And then you hone that skill. And I think that's how we try to operate actually the teams, which has been really, really effective, right? For performance appraisals, for all of that.
And I've noticed that with Love Bonito, especially over the last year or so, there is an increased awareness of diversity, inclusivity. All of those things are coming through in the clothes, in the visuals as well. And I think that there's something to be said for being able to look at your own brand and kind of say, okay, how can we change this up? And obviously, you guys do a lot of ear to the ground listening as well. Yeah.
I think part of being thoughtful as well, right? I think it's being preemptive, right? I think to the needs of our consumers, our community, and we need to really represent also the women that we're serving, right? I think hence also a bit more, I think better representation, right? I think externally in our campaigns, and really actually importantly, I think the same representation through our teams. I think that's how we're trying to build it out.
Yeah. And Val, the insurance and financial sector are considerably also very much like real estate, very male dominated. How has PolicyPal affected how women are viewing insurance? Because I think there's a whole new and very interesting world there, and finance via your platform.
Based on our research and even like our current database, is still quite male dominated. Over 65% are actually male users. So we are actually putting more effort to actually target the female users. First of all, is that identifying the right stage where they'll be thinking about finances. So like Dione actually started buying her first policy like in your late 20s, as you mentioned, and that's actually coincide with the data. So that's the time where like female would start researching, learning more about like what they need to do for their finances, right? So we create a lot more content as well as even games. We have like games that educate you on like financial planning, why you need to save for your retirement, as well as what happens if, let's say, you were to get married, like who handle the finances, because historically a lot of people actually let the husband or like their partner to manage it. But how do you actually co-manage your finances? So at PolicyPal, we actually create all this content, and because the app and platform is open to everyone, it empowers like even female to kickstart their own.
And also, women are making so many, different choices in how they want to live. Not everybody wants to get married, and you still want to be able to feel empowered by the choices that you're making. And I think all of the industries that we're talking about, it's about catering not just to a body type or a mind type, but it's also to a life type as well. And that's where insurance comes in, because what's my lifestyle, and that's how I'm going to pick a policy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. I love this conversation so much. Okay, so I'm just going to throw a little stat out at you guys. According to Women in Tech statistics for 2020, women only hold 20% of the positions in the tech world. But many Silicon Valley tech startups have at least one woman in an executive position. I don't know whether to cry or not about that. I think there should be so much more. Okay, I think in recent years, we have definitely seen many, many more efforts being made to recognize women's work within the tech industry and the STEM fields as well. And I'm sure you guys are aware that IMDA has the first ever 100 Women in Tech list that acknowledges women's success, and nonprofit organizations like She Loves Tech that encourages young girls to pursue tech as a career. What are some of your thoughts around the gender gaps that we're talking about in your individual industries and also in the tech world? And does that disparity still exist? I'm going to start with you, Roshni, because you started the Female Founders Network. What motivated you to start that?
So the Female Founders Network is actually a research and advocacy nonprofit that looks at trying to figure out why there's so few funding going towards women, and what do we need to do in order to make women-led companies more attractive towards capital. And also, what are the skill set change that needs to happen to help women move from running a smaller business into something that is VC fundable. So we come up with some basic rules for VCs as well on how you should interact with women founders. And some of them are so basic you could cry. Like, for example, don't hit on them. Rule number 1. So we come up with all of these policies to talk about things that nobody wants to talk about, but also make it easy for these kinds of conversations to take place.
I mean, I think sometimes we forget that when you're talking to a very diverse group of individuals, sometimes the basics is where we have to begin.
Yeah.
Right? Dione, women in technology, absolutely growing, but still largely dominated. And there are still instances, and you've had, a fair bit of a career in this world where females do not get the same recognition or equal opportunities as males in the industry. What do you think has happened that changes this, and what more can we do to change this?
Yeah, I think when it comes to equal opportunities, and I'm a firm believer that we need probably more education, right, and awareness around this piece. Because if you think about it, I think a lot of us, when I was 15, right, for example, I never knew a career in STEM even existed, right? I would think I was starting like arts and literature then. Had I known, maybe, right, I could have been a software coder somewhere. Maybe I would have actually tried. So at Love Bonito, we've been doing courses as well, right? Just going to secondary schools, right, in Singapore. Because
fantastic.
If you're not choosing the right course when you're young, or at least if you know, hey, there is a wall of like engineering or UI UX out there, you're probably picking a course and then you're streamed into it, right? And you can't actually pivot out of it because of the way the education system is actually being organized. So I think a lot of times it's just having that education and awareness like upfront, right? When kids are really, really young. And I think also maybe it starts with gaming. Could be really interesting, right? I've been reading about, maybe more gender neutral games, right? To involve girls as well, right? In that creative process, right? Minecraft, great example, right? If we could get more young girls just trying that out and exploring, at least they understand, hey, there are all these options, right? And if they want to go into STEM, they can, but at least they have that choice.
I think the taking off the veil of what is an opportunity. It's the converse is true. I mean, for a man too, what are other opportunities that a man could think about?
Precisely.
Yes. If we're talking about gender equality, then it's for both, right? But for so long, I think there's just been this veil upon what is available to us and what you can stick your toe into to find out more about. And then, of course, educating. And as much as we're educating people to understand what shouldn't be done, can we also educate people to say what can be done? And you wrote a book about all of that. And that book is called Boss Inc. Love the title. It was written with women in mind, but to encourage more women to actually enter male-dominated industries. And you've worked with both financial banking and in insurance. So could you share a little bit more about the book and why, and how, what was in your mind when you were writing it?
So the book covers my whole journey of starting PolicyPal, what got me thinking of building the company, as well as the whole journey. Why I actually wanted to actually pen it down. The reason is because we see that especially awareness and education is still kind of lacking in terms of the younger generation. A lot of them still think that, oh, maybe I should work for someone. Even though I have this dream, but then I have no idea how to get started. So Roshni started this whole female founder network, which is amazing. That like I think previously when I first started, I couldn't get any help because I find that like it was quite challenging as I came from banking and insurance.
No support system.
There were no support system, and I have to say that like I was searching online on like who can I connect with to actually learn from them to get started. So the purpose of the book is actually hoping to actually encourage more young female ladies out there, be it they are in education or they're working and have this dream that they want to pursue to start their company or even enter tech. A lot of female that maybe they grew up studying arts, humanities, and then they feel that, okay, tech industry, like they learn about how technology empower businesses, improve lives, but they have this fear that I didn't study computer science, I didn't study engineering, that's why I cannot enter this industry. But not the case, because actually my undergrad was in digital media. Indeed, I built websites and so on, but my whole career has been in finance. So like a lot of people, like when I first started, I have to say that, oh, do you code? If you don't code, how can I trust you for building a technology company? I'm like, yes, we are also a financial institution that is empowered with technology. So it's all about finding the balance and how to first take on the courage. That's why the book is called Boss A.
Love it. I have to say though, like let's not give arts and humanities a hard rap, because without it, we would not actually have, the powers of interpretation. We would not be able to actually have thought-provoking conversations. And so I think actually it would be great to actually go to school and learn tech, arts, humanities, science, all of those things, and have that all available to you in varying degrees. And that kind of is almost a more complete human in that sense. Jaelle, I'm going to ask you my final question, because we've talked about what we can do and what isn't available, what is available. I think in older industries that are highly male dominated, financial industries, one of them, and of course real estate is another. There's still a fair bit of gender disparity. And so we're not just talking about tech, we're talking about, brick and mortar industries like the real estate industry. So what is your advice for women overcoming the challenges posed when you're trying to thrive in male-dominated industries?
I don't know if the word's advice, because I'm still learning and struggling and trying to figure this out. But since I was a young analyst, I've always thought of it as like, whether I come into a new company, a new roundtable with more males, how can I fit in and stand out? What can I bring to the table and show, or even overcompensate, that I am worthy of my seat at the table? So I think like competence, being on time, being professional, being really, really good at what you do and having that mastery, that's table stakes. So that's fitting in. But what can I do to also stand out? Like, how would my voice be different? What skill set, whether it's soft skills or hard skills or viewpoints that I can bring that's different? And that's going to help you throughout your journey. And really, this is whether you are a female or male.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I think it's also about what is the voice that you have? What's your authentic voice? And not being afraid of it.
That voice, can you bring up somebody else's voice, because they have a valuable viewpoint and they don't yet have that voice? And whether it's a man around the table or a woman, can you help to lift that voice?
Perfect. One final question for everyone, like a quick fire round, okay? One important piece of advice that has served you well in your journey so far, Roshni.
So I'm going to quote Indra Nooyi for this, another very powerful woman, but the more you can break the rules, the better off you're going to be.
Nice. I like that.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Dione?
Not as succinct as that, but just really, I think just being myself, right? I think being comfortable in my own skin. I think especially early on, sometimes you doubt yourself as well, right? Or you try to fit in. But I think over the years I've really grown to just be comfortable and trusting your gut and instincts as well at times.
Yeah. I'm going to address the other half of this question just because I want to and because we have only a few more minutes. Is there something specific about the way that women lead that is shaping and changing all of our futures? Val.
Because we're a lot more open to actually share our emotions, feelings, and companies are made out of people. And I believe that with that, we can build better businesses and services to serve like the society.
Jaelle?
I think women are more long-term greedy. We think of the future a lot more, whether that be for future generations, sustainability, and that would, really be an important and powerful force to drive our future.
Dione?
Yeah, I do think women care a lot more, right? I think about everyone in the environment around them, a lot more thoughtful, a lot more empathetic. And I think that's important when it comes to building businesses and building teams.
Roshni, is there something about the way women lead that is shaping and changing all of our futures?
I think biologically speaking, women were nurturers. And, when we're building companies and when we're doing anything, ultimately, we all want to make the world a better place because we want to leave it better off than where it is today. And because we have nurturing instincts, we want to leave it off better for the next generation and for all of our own children as well.
Fantastic. It's been such a great honor to talk to all of you. I think we all want to leave the world a better place. Thank you so much for talking to us and sharing all of your thoughts, ideas, and of course, philosophies. And I am very, very happy to have sat with all of you as great leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Anita.
having us today.
You're welcome.